Good job.
It's been that kind of day.
Alrighty.
Good day.
You okay?
It's the same.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Z. How are you, sir? Well. Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Call the roll.
I apologize.
Mayor Garcia?
Here.
Vice Mayor Buckner? Here. Councilman Best?
Present.
Councilman Payne?
I'm here.
Councilman Pedrano?
Here.
Please stand for the invocation. I'd like to invite up Mother Katie for the invocation. You don't mind, you have a microphone? Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Lord God, we ask your special blessing tonight on this wonderful city of which we are all part. I ask you also to bless those of us who make decisions tonight with both open hearts and open minds. Be with each of us as we travel home. One more time, please bless Miami Springs with all that this community deserves. We pray in the name of
Amen.
Please face the flag, place your hand over your heart, and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Way too many certificates.
Well, you're the mayor. Why you put them all on one agenda?
There's more next week. Next time.
God,
All
mayor.
right, Mr. Manager, will you join me, please, for a presentation? Sure. Keep this up here with me. Mother Keating, got the microphone?
Yeah, the batteries run out.
Oh, no, I thought you still had the...
No.
Oh, no, I thought you had the microphone. You can join me anytime, though.
What happened? It's not working again?
You know what? Bob Barker again.
Bob Barker.
Make sure it's on.
Don't forget the spade and neuter. All right. Thank you.
I should fix it.
Moida, will you join us, please?
Here, man. Mayor.
Hello. Wait a second.
She's not retiring, is she?
Stop.
35 years of service.
Stop, because I was going to cry,
She
but
may.
then they told me you were coming back.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, so this is a certificate of appreciation presented to Moira Ramos, Account System Finance Analyst. There's something wrong here, William. This has one title. And if it's one person that does at least 20 different things here in the city of Miami Springs, it's Moira with all of her different titles, all the different things you do. So I'm sorry for interrupting the reading of your certificate. Just know that even though printed on here it just says Account System Finance Analyst, there's a lot of and all of the other hats that she wears here in our city of Miami Springs. In recognition of 35 years and 4 months of dedicated service to the city of Miami Springs Finance Department and every other department here, from April 20th, 1981 to August 31st, 2016, presented this 22nd day of August. Thank you very much for everything. The manager has something for you too.
You know, it's hard to replace someone with so many years of experience and as much knowledge as Moira has and as well liked as she is by her staff. So this is not a goodbye because I'm bringing you back. She's not going to be full-time, but she still will be here because it's hard to replace 35. She's a walking file cabinet. I mean, whatever you want to know, she's in, and it's hard to replace. And we're going to miss you full-time, but we'll have you part-time. And I just want to present you this little token of our appreciation for 35 years of dedicated service from the Finance Department.
Thank you.
Introduce some of the family members you have here.
They're all here.
Have chambers.
you. I do want to thank my family. I have here my son and his wife and baby to be. And I have here my daughter, my wonderful son-in-law, and my grandchildren, and my sister and her husband, my son-in-law.
Mom?
Brother-in-law. Excuse me. But since the moment that I arrived in Miami Springs over 35 years ago, I felt blessed. God has blessed me with a beautiful, family here, because it's a family. And the finance director at the time, which was Donald Nelson, was, amazing. And I am blessed to have another wonderful finance director, assistant city manager, and now city manager, which is William. And all my coworkers. I wouldn't be able to, be here if it wasn't a big family, and love serving here in the city. So thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
William.
Everybody, come on.
Watch that step for her.
Yeah.
Everyone, including. Okay, look right here. Look here. Hold it. Good. Everybody looking pleasant. Everybody looking pleasant. Really nice. Really nice. Thank you.
All right.
Down there. Okay, right. All right. We have another presentation. This is for Sergeant Danny Kelly. If you don't mind joining us, sir.
Mr. Manager, would you join me as well?
Sure. All right. There you go. All right. This is a certificate of appreciation presented to Thomas D. Kelly, Police Sergeant, in recognition of 35 years of dedicated service to the City of Miami Springs Police Department. Presented this 22nd day of August, 2016. Are you going to come back now in part-time also? Wait a second, wait. Look at his shirt. Does this look like he's coming back part-time?
More than likely not.
No. Manager has something for you as well.
Yeah, Dan, this is in recognition of your 35 years of dedicated service to the city of Miami Springs as a police officer, and I'm sure we're all going to miss you. And at this point in time, I think it's for the chief to say something about Dan and his career with the city.
Well, one of the first persons that I started really talking to when I came on board a little bit over a year and a half ago, was Sergeant Kelly, because of the wealth of knowledge and experience that he had here in Miami Springs. And just last week we went out to lunch, and one of the things that we spoke about again was that this is not something that we do. This is something that we are when it comes to law enforcement. And if there's somebody that will always resonate in my mind as the professional law enforcement officer, it's Sergeant Kelly. So I'm going to miss you, not just from a professional level, but from a personal level. I've learned a lot from you in the time that I've been here, and I know that every once in a while I may pick up the phone and say, hey, Sarge, what do you think about this? And I hope you don't mind if I do that.
Wow.
And you know that this is your home. It's been your home for a long time, and the doors are always open here. So God bless, and thank you for everything.
Yeah.
How wide is that angle?
I was trying to fish.
It's his
right?
head. It's not the angle, it's his head so big.
Get just the three of you, then one with the cheek, just the cheek. Look at it, Bill. Right here. Don't let Jenny. Attention, please. Okay. Okay, with the cheek, please. No family picture.
Yes, and Olivia and I are ready.
Yeah.
Yes, and so is Jeannie, and so is.
Wait, you got guys right here. One more. One more. Come on.
Before he takes a family picture, I'd like to ask him to say a few words, please. Go.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Checking 1, 2. For once in my life, I'm speechless.
Oh, gee.
Not. I want to give praise and thanks to the Lord, all the angels and saints who have protected me for 40 years. My brother and sister officers who have also protected me. My dad said that he was the luckiest Irishman in the world. I have to say that I'm the luckiest Irishman in the world. I just want to say thank you to everybody. For those of you that have gotten my autograph for parking in front of the post office, I sincerely apologize. It was just my job. I've, again, been blessed. I've had a great time. I enjoyed my lunch with the chief the other day and confirmed that the city is left in good hands, in his hands. And he's going to take it in a good direction. I'd also like everybody to remember that these are tough times for police officers everywhere. Keep them in your prayers. And to all my buddies that have gone on before me, I made it, guys. Thank you.
Oh, would you be crowding? For goodness sake, spread it out there.
Take the shot, will you?
Oh, leave it.
I known him since high school. Yeah, but I known him since high school. He don't know.
Yeah, no, you know him. Well, I've known him. I've known him 32, easy.
This fall, 16.
No, high school's longer. Yeah, yeah. Is he, Bill? He's
Yeah, he's
off
done.
shift now.
He's
Done. Yeah.
I don't know if he's got enough.
End of the month
William,
or something, or
is he done now? Is
Yeah.
he gone?
You off the payroll now?
Yeah.
He's done.
Like as of Willie, as of last Friday kind of thing. Like last Friday kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done. No,
I just seen him on Ludlam. I waved to him. I went by last Friday.
I'm going on the cruise for the retirement party.
You are?
Yeah,
You and
Grace and me and the whole shebang.
Nice.
All right.
You'll be up there and we'll be all crying and hugging.
Tom's gonna claim his seat here.
Huh?
Tommy's gonna claim his seat.
Oh. San Martin, Nicole.
We'll all be shaking your hand, or we'll be going, no, you can't go. Oh, yeah, you will. We'll come to your house. That's
We'll
what
wait
we'll
till-
come to his house.
How are you doing?
Doesn't matter. I got a badge and a gun.
Like Garden, it's beautiful.
And I have connections.
Keep working on that.
I heard you. If you wanted a video, I would have given you a video, but you wouldn't have passed muster.
Hi, Danny. Join me every other Friday for the retirement breakfast. Everybody gets together to talk crap.
But if there's anything that costs
Bueno, I don't know because these people me queda aquí ahora.
Well, I still stop.
Is it a gruel? He's been here.
But before when I was watering it.
See Karen.
What are we waiting on here?
Pretty much as long as anybody.
Who?
Him and John Kahn and Pete Bond.
I worked with Danny back in '83 because I worked this district, so I know Danny from the stories I can tell you guys.
Plus he's got other stuff, music and stuff.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a certificate of recognition. We all know how much we love to beautify the already beautiful Miami Springs. So today I'm giving a certificate of recognition presented to Nicole San Martin, a Miami Springs resident and student at Our Lady of Lourdes Academy, who revitalized the butterfly garden in front of the Miami Springs Branch Library by planting approximately 20 plants for academic community service hours and to benefit the butterfly population, which is becoming less abundant due to habitat destruction. So this certificate of recognition, we're presenting it to you the 22nd day of August. Thank you very much for all of your hard work.
Want to come in?
Don't worry about it. Where do you want now?
I went to, when I finished it, I was at Ada Merit.
All right, so
But
you
yeah.
can explain it, whatever you want. Or you can tell them about your butterfly garden.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy to receive this award because it was really such an honor, and I'm so grateful to be able to have done this project. It was honestly a lot of fun, and I got to learn a lot about how the city government worked. And I'd like to thank Tom Nash, who gave me the green light to go ahead and gave me permission to do this project in Miami Springs. And also to Eric Ritchie, who was my mentor and helped me and guided me through the entire project.
So before she leaves, she was saying that she's not done. She's going to continue to go back and improve the butterfly garden. She plans on doing it. So when I was talking to her, I let her know if there was anything that she might need any assistance with that she thinks the city can help her with. You just come knocking on the city manager's door, and I'm sure he'll direct you right back to Tom Nash. But you've done such a beautiful job there. We want to make sure that we maintain it and that we keep it looking beautiful. We appreciate you beginning the steps of doing it. So just make sure you give the city manager a call if you need it. Even if it's just us going by once in a while to water it, that's not too much for us to do, right? Maybe water it, whatever you need. Okay, the city's here for you. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Head. Welcome. If this is your 92nd birthday, we have some talking to do. Mayor Bain would like to know what the fountain of youth is that you put into it.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad all the children are here tonight. I'll tell you what. That was nice, Mr. Mayor.
This is a certificate of recognition presented to Eloise Head. Ms. Head settled into Miami Springs in 1966, has been a resident of Miami Springs for 55 years. Ms. Head was born on November 30th, 1924, and recently celebrated her 92nd birthday. Will be celebrating her 92nd birthday. Okay. The city council and its citizens of Miami Springs honor a longtime resident and extend best wishes on her 92nd birthday, which is coming up now. Presented this 22nd day of August. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mayor.
Excuse me, this, you can have a mug as well. That's
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank
Our
you.
90th birthday
All right.
mug.
Better we said hello.
Hey, Billy.
You pick that up.
Mother Kitty, can you join us, please?
Okay.
So how you?
I'm good.
I feel a little chit chat be easier, then I wouldn't cry when I read it.
Okay.
She's not going anywhere, is she? Are you? No, I might cry.
Okay. This is a certificate of appreciation presented to Mother Keaty in recognition of 14 years of dedicated service. All Angels Academy and Episcopal to the All Angels Academy and Episcopal Church. We need to put another "and" there, and the entire city of Miami Springs. Reverend Susan S. Keaty has been the priest in charge of All Angels Episcopal Church and the head of school of All Angels Academy. She has tirelessly provided spiritual guidance to students and their families, school, staff, parishioners, and residents of Miami Springs. Mother Keaty has welcomed friends and strangers with the same warmth and care for the person, whatever the faith or background may be. Mother Keaty is a good friend, mentor, and confidant. Her church, her school, and the community are better for knowing her. Her warmth, enthusiastic, and approachable personality touch hundreds of lives, influencing young and old. I'm going to edit that. That should be thousands. I'm going to fix that. On behalf of the City Council of Miami Springs, I do hereby proudly present and extend this certificate of appreciation for you and best wishes wherever you may go, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Before I let Mother Keaty say a few words, just know that we have many events here in the city of Miami Springs, and the number one go-to person every time we would like a proclamation, not a proclamation, an invocation to be said.
You have the memo that you wrote.
Notice I said said and never to be read, because Mother Keaty has always spoken of the heart, and that comes to not only when she comes to an event to speak, but also when she speaks to us on a one-on-one basis, not only parishioners of All Angels, like it says there. You've welcomed everyone in this community with open arms. So we appreciate you, and we'll sorely miss you, my friend.
The thing about priests is that before they go to work someplace, there's this long process of discernment about where is God calling you to be. And so I didn't just turn up in Miami Springs by accident. You know, the Lord had a big plan for me here, and it couldn't have been better. The thing is, I had lived already in Miami for a very long time. I came to Miami in 1972, and I had lived in Miami for a long time before I was called to this church in Miami Springs. And I'd really only been to Miami Springs once or twice, and not for very long. And so I came to Miami Springs. I didn't really know what to expect. And I must say that I found here the most welcoming and loving and exciting community that I could possibly have imagined. And in every single way, I've felt like I was part of this community just from the first day I got here. And I congratulate all of you who live in the Springs for making it such a wonderful place to be. And thank you very much. And thank you, Z, for the commendation award certificate. That's it. And I'd like to invite all my family to come on up here. I don't know. I won't know. They won't decide. Maybe for a year. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I think she wants a picture taken with her iPad. Let me get it for her. She wanted a picture taken with her iPad, but she's up there.
That's the whole parish.
I'm telling you.
Oh, I called you earlier when I came.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coffeeed out. Thank you.
What's wrong with you? I know you don't get a picture for many people.
Oh.
Tom, could I ask you just one time?
You never think, always be sure.
I never said you're ready.
Never think, she wants to stay away.
Yes, you gotta get. Damn it. Crystal, wait, Crystal, turn around, Crystal. Come on. I want to see your smile. There you go.
Cheese. Cheese. Jalapenos. You're gonna love retirement. Love it.
Got somebody yet?
Really?
That church almost defunct.
We keep having these meetings, and this one goes, that goes, now we got Susan.
Back up in here just for
Who?
this.
They picked up the garbage cans for fucking ever the previous meeting. Before that,
Sent it to him on, sent him a message on email, on
Except for
Facebook.
the people that keep writing.
Or his involvement and all that.
But you know what I mean. Them people see
I understand that.
forever.
I understand that.
Gonna be able to go see the Gloria Stefan shoot?
Aaron's outside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool because he's from New York visiting a friend of ours. Yeah. We thought that was pretty cool. Thank you, brother. Done.
The last one, George. You got George.
No, I'm sorry.
It's already like 3 or 4 times we've worked with each other in a week only, right?
Swimming people.
Xavier, pleasure, sir.
La hija mía es.
Chambers are almost empty.
Mañana vengo a verme aquí a la 1 y yo voy a estar aquí.
Oh, God.
That's good.
You know what? You know what we ought to consider doing?
Springs is no, I was at that time. I said no, I'm not living in the Springs, but
No, you can't let them people stay here.
managers.
Educate them as to what's going on.
Yeah, but you can't invite people here and then make them stay here.
There's got to be a...
Watch, we're hot, so be careful.
No, I know.
Up there.
But you know what I mean. You can't. No, you can't.
But it's a thought.
Oh, I've always said that at least what we ought to do is at least make our remarks before the meeting starts, like,
Well,
and then
that's
not
kind
at
of
the end of the meeting.
that's kind of what I said.
What were you doing in the back? Hiding? Oh.
Oh my God, I love it.
Neri, welcome back. Seen you in a while. I figure you're on vacation.
Hello, Mr. Terribly well.
Oh wow! Congratulations. Come on, you love it.
Okay.
I know. I know, my dear. I know.
All right. Back to business. We have a presentation by George
No,
Ferrer
not
from
you.
Romeo Ajamal on the aquatic facility punch list completion timeline.
Mayor, at the last meeting, you requested an update on the punch list for the aquatic center. And let me just read the memo into the record. Per the email attachment A from Jorge Ferrer, city's hired project manager, is the latest status on the new aquatic center punch list items categorized by rooms, which is attachment B, from Lunacom Construction. As Jorge mentions in his email, although the majority of the items show completed, they are still pending his and city staff verification. Additionally, as noted, the pool deck finish, pool deck drainage, and rust on the pool slide are items that will take a longer time to complete. A final verification and walkthrough is expected to take place before the end of this month, with the exception of the 3 items mentioned above. Jorge Ferrer B&A and Emilio Lunacom. I guess Emilio couldn't show up tonight, but Jorge is here and available for any questions that you may have.
How are you, sir?
Good evening. Boy, that's a tough act to follow. I don't know if I can. It's a lot of people. I just wanted to let you know that all the items that you see in the punch list were generated by yours truly. I walked through every single building. I walked through every single area outside the building, and they're categorized as such. So anything that we saw that deviated from a finished product or did not comply to the level of completeness or what they should look like when the project is complete, that was marked on the punch list for them to correct. As you can see by the punch list that you received, most of these items, according to Lunacon and their subs, that work has already been completed. The intent is for them, there's still some items there from Dillon Pools that they will be completing within the next week or so. Once that is done, we will perform our final walkthrough and confirm that all the work has indeed been done. If you've been out to the pool, like some manager said, we have some issues with the pool deck and drainage, the look of the pool deck, the drainage, and the rust on the pool slide that we are still, we're in the process right now of coming to a resolution on, at least an idea of how we're going to do it, how it's going to be resolved, so that we take the opportunity during the off season to go ahead and make those corrections, much needed corrections to the pool deck and to the slide.
Through the chair.
Sir, the floor is yours.
George, thanks for being here tonight.
My pleasure.
Rust?
Yes. Rust.
Help me with that.
One of the things that occurred when they were installing the treads on the steps is instead of it being pre-drilled, they drilled on site, which everybody knows once a piece of metal is galvanized on the shop, the moment you drill on it, unless you treat it, creates rust. So what you need to do is you need to go through, wire brush every one of the openings, treat them again, and paint.
And that'll be accomplished.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Mayor?
I had an issue with the west side of the project where the dirt comes up and they put all the pretty flowers, but I saw that I didn't see them finish the wall, so when the dirt starts to recede over time, you see unfinished wall. Is that
Yes.
going to be finished?
One of the issues that they're dealing with in that area also is one of the things that you pointed out too, Councilwoman, was the pavers are not even. And that is one of the items that they're going to do at the end.
Okay.
Any area that is concealed by dirt, concealed by any vegetation, does not need to get treated with stucco. If it is indeed, if it does recede, they have to come back and take care of it. But they're not by our criteria, they're not supposed to go down and put stucco all the way down, below grade. That is considered grade at that point. So we're going to be discussing with them. They're not going to go down and remove all that area and put stucco
I
and
understand
paint.
that,
They're not going to.
but
Yeah.
I don't think they even went. I mean, the dirt was just put up and.
They're going to go ahead and pull apart the pavers and
Mhm.
align them. I will be there when they're doing that, and I will make sure that whatever it is that needs to take care of on that bottom part gets taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Anything?
Any other
Okay.
questions?
Thank you, George. Thank you for everything you've done.
Keep,
All right,
keep
my
hitting
pleasure.
that punch list, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, George.
Have a good evening.
You too, George.
Okay, moving forward to open forum. Ms. Stefan?
Good evening. Genevieve Stefan, 1450 LeBaron Drive. I'm the only resident from the east side parking issue that was able to come tonight, but I promised him I would be here. First of all, we want to thank the city, the mayor, everyone for some of the work that has been done around there. The fences, the shrubbery, and some parking signs. However, the parking around the park is still horrendous. The trash, we're still battling that. And I'm staying to hear what you've come up with, but we are asking, everybody had asked, that we ask for no overnight parking signs. Sundown to sunrise, and your vehicle will be towed. We feel that might help the cause of getting these vehicles from being, nobody can visit the park because there's no parking, except maybe during the day when everybody's working. So I had to put those paper notices on 2 vehicles that were parked on my swale, but they haven't come back. So, but don't feel like that's our job. But we thank you for as much work as you've done already. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stefan. Mr. Manager, I know that you are still working with the chief on ongoing measures for that, correct?
Well,
Nothing's
that's
been
one of
finalized.
the items in tonight's meeting, item 9B.
Agenda item, yep.
We have a memo of some recommendations.
I just wanted to make sure you said that before. Well, actually, that is. Give me 1 second. Let's do something
I
right.
think we're 9B and that's it.
Yeah. We're going to bump up agenda item 9B right now. Because Ms. Stefan might have to go. There's no sense in her waiting for that.
Good point.
9B, please. This is East Side parking issue update. Let's do it now.
Yes, Mayor and Council. On July 20th, 2016, we received an email from the East Side residents, which is attachment A in your package, in which they proposed 3 solutions to the parking issue they have been trying to address for the past few months. Staff has reviewed these options, and we agree that they are viable solutions and recommend as follows. Number 1, the city will install no parking sunset to sunrise signs around the swale areas of Reagan Park. We have already installed barriers next to the stop signs in order to limit parking near the signs, which I have a picture as attachment B. Number 2, the city will install no parking anytime signs on the swale of the parking lot on Reagan Drive, which you have a picture on attachment C. And finally, the city will allow only parallel parking on the remaining swales of the parking lot along Sheridan, LeBaron, and Oakwood Drives, which is attachment D. All signs along the fence of the parking lot will be removed by Miami-Dade County Aviation, and only city signs will be installed. The city signs will also include the county code section that police will use to ticket all violators. If council approves these recommendations, we feel that the concerns of the residents in the area will be addressed and will lead to a satisfactory solution. Now, all of these items have been, we have met with Jan, the police chief, and Tom, Public Works Director, and we feel that all of these items are viable and will definitely address some of the concerns of the residents in that area.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Get your approval, well,
does anybody have an issue with that?
I have one question on this, and it would be the third item, Mr. Manager. The parallel park on LeBaron and the other 2 streets you mentioned. How will that alleviate the problem?
Well, that's an issue that the police chief brought to us. He said he would be in favor of that as long as we don't allow angled parking. And the chief can give you his concerns about angled parking in those areas.
The reason I bring it up is only because that was the original problem, that there were people parked parallel to LeBaron, et cetera, around that park and the other streets that surround it. If that's going to be permitted still, what have we solved?
Well, remember, we're only permitting it
during daytime hours. I understand that.
No, this is not on the park. This is in the parking lot, the aviation parking lot that takes those 4 corners. It's LeBaron, Sheridan, Oakwood, and
the
Reagan.
old Eastern. Okay.
So what we're doing is we're doing no parking on Reagan, which is right across from the residents' homes,
right.
But allowing it on the other 3 sides, only parallel parking.
Okay. So along LeBaron Drive, parallel to 36th Street, that will still be permitted?
No, LeBaron is parallel to
36th Street.
To Royal Poinciana.
Correct. Also, well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Did that answer your question,
Chief?
Mr. Councilman? Or you?
No, I'd like to hear what the chief has to say on that.
Well, we've got to take into consideration some of the folks that still have to park somewhere. I think that by making it parallel parking, we're limiting the number of cars, and we're also preventing cars from blocking the sidewalk right up against the fence. So that it's sort of like a compromise to at least allow some of the folks that have no other place of parking to park along there. By removing the signs from the fence, first of all, those signs were put there by someone other than Miami-Dade County Public Works. Putting them on the swale belongs to the city. So by putting them on the swale, we're also limiting the number of cars that will be allowed around those parking areas. And it will give us the applicable county ordinance that we can enforce.
Do you think that'll sufficiently solve the problem, particularly on LeBaron Drive?
Well, will give us at least a tool to the cars that are not properly parked that we can start taking.
Chief, the only reason I bring it up is because I've been over there working that area, and I see it. And I sympathize with these folks that have to endure this.
I just hate to think that what we're doing is just moving the problem elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, sir.
We're attacking it there and sending out a message. We've been in contact with the apartment folks and talked to them about the steps that are going to be being put into place. And hopefully that plus the nursing college has helped us out there too. We've given them all the do's and don'ts of where to park, where not to park, and they've been gracious enough to put it in English and Spanish and disseminate it among their students.
Yeah, when I heard that that was one of the measures that he was going to do and putting them, parallel parking only, it's a rule. And who follows rules? When there are rules, those folks who live here. And I don't think that we're having an issue with folks that live here parking there. There's some folks who maybe work somewhere outside and they're parking their cars there. So as soon as the chief and the police department start to enforce and implement these rules, the folks who aren't parallel parking, if they're angle parking, well, it's probably not a resident. He's just somebody throwing his car there, doesn't care about it. And that guy's going to get a ticket or get towed or to whatever extent. And then the residents who maybe live in the area that are using that as parking will park properly parallel. It's, I guess it is a step in the right direction.
Thanks very much,
appreciate
Chief. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Need a motion? Motion to approve the proposal.
Second.
Any discussion? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Buckner?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Moving on to approval of council minutes. 5A, August 1st, 2016, workshop meeting. 5B, August 8th, 2016, regular meeting.
Through the chair, motion to move A and B,
Second.
5A,
I have a
5B.
first and a second. Any discussion on the items? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Buckner?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to reports from boards and commissions. 6A, Board of Adjustment, approval of actions taken at their meeting of August 9th, 2016, subject to the 10-day appeal period. Actions by the Board of Adjustment. So I entertain a motion.
Motion to move item 6A.
I'll second it.
First and a second. Any discussion on the item? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Buckner?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Okay. There is no there is no public hearings. We're moving on to consent agenda. This is all items that are funded and or already budgeted. Mr. Manager.
Item 8A, recommendation by golf that council approve an increase to the city's current open purchase order with Coca-Cola Beverages as a sole source provider of their products in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for purchase of Coca-Cola products for resale as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 15-16 budget pursuant to section 3111E6G of the city code. 8B, recommendation by golf, the council approve an increase to the city's current open purchase order with the Andersons, Inc., a sole source provider and manufacturer of their products in an amount not to exceed $5,000 for micro-granulated fertilizers for the greens at the golf course as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 15-16 budget pursuant to section 3111E6G of the city code. 8C, recommendation by golf, the council approve an increase to the city's current open purchase order with Harold's, piggybacking off the Miami-Dade contract number 9020-1/19-1 in an amount not to exceed $10,000 for customized liquid fertilizers for the golf course as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 15-16 budget pursuant to section 3111E6G of the city code. Recommendation by golf that council approve an increase to the city's current open purchase order with Howard's Fertilizer and Chemical using the Town of Davie contract number B14-25 in an amount not to exceed $10,000 for fertilizer blends for the golf course as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 15-16 budget pursuant to section 3111E6G of the city code. 8E, recommendation by golf that council approve an increase to the city's current open purchase order with the Florida Superior Sand, Inc., utilizing Miami-Dade County contract number 9408-1/14-1 in an amount not to exceed $6,000 for medium-grade sand for the golf course as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 15-16 budget pursuant to section 3111E6G of the city code. And 8F, recommendation by Public Works that council approve an increase of the city's current open purchase orders with Miami Tire Soles, utilizing Miami-Dade contract 15/17-07-0220 in an amount not to exceed $3,000 for tires, which exceeds the originally budgeted amount of $30,000 in the fiscal year 15-16 budget pursuant to section 3111E6G of the city code.
Through the chair. Mr. Manager, all this is budgeted?
Yes.
Motion to move consent, sir.
Second.
Any discussion on the items?
I think that's not right. I think the one item that's not budgeted is the last one.
Yeah.
It exceeds by only $3,000 though.
Right.
All the other items are within the budget.
Right.
Huh?
But it is funded. We do have the funding.
Originally budgeted for 30 grand and exceeds it by 3, correct?
Where are the funds
Yeah.
going to come from for the $3,000, Mr. Manager?
No. No, this is not worded correctly. The purchase order was originally open for 30,000.
Yeah.
There are funds in the account. So now they want to increase it from 30 to 33, but the funds are in there. Well, they want to increase is the purchase order.
Okay. Understood.
It doesn't exceed the budget.
Understood. Right. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, thank you, Mayor.
That's why we have funded and or budgeted
Correct.
at the top of our consent agenda item, but he did ask the right question.
Through the chair, sir, you have a motion.
You have a second.
Let's have the same second. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Buckner?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Moving on to old business. Does any council member have any appointments to any of the boards?
No, sir, I don't.
Have none, sir.
Perfect. We already did 9B. We're moving on to new business. 10B. This is a recommendation. Mr. Manager?
Yes, this is a recommendation that let me read the memo that came to me from Chief Guzman, that the Honorable Mayor and City Council approved the use of metal detectors by the Miami Springs Police Department at the entrance to City Hall prior to any council meeting, special meeting, or workshop held in council chambers. Discussion: the Miami Springs Police Department must take every action necessary to ensure safety and security at all venues within the city, especially in gatherings of our local governing body. The Miami Springs Police Department hopes that the city of Miami Springs never experiences the violence we see on a daily basis throughout the country or the world. Our police department cannot rely on hope and must prepare for the unexpected and worst-case scenarios. The use of the metal detectors will enhance the safety of everyone attending these meetings. And Chief is here to answer any concerns that you may have or questions.
Anybody have a question for the chief?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Chief Guzman, what is the cost of this, sir?
It's minimum 3 hours for an officer to man it. So depending on the length of the council meeting, but at minimum 3 hours would be about $150 per meeting.
This is for people accessing and egressing the...
I'm sorry?
This is for people accessing and egressing the area during such meetings.
Coming into the meeting, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is
1 second. Vice Mayor?
And where's the machine going to be located?
Downstairs, just like we do for the red light camera court.
Councilman?
Is this only for this meeting, or is it for board meetings and everything?
Any special meeting, any meeting held
council
up
meeting,
here. It's
or
common
workshop.
practice in other municipalities for their council meetings.
It's not for board meetings, though. It's
No, correct.
Just council.
Council meetings, special workshops, regular meetings.
Okay. Mayor Bain?
Oh, he asked my question.
Okay. All right. I entertain a motion, please.
Motion to move the item, Mayor.
Second.
Any further discussion on the item? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Buckner?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
No.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. 10C, recommendation.
This is a recommendation from Police Department, by the Police Department. The council approved an expenditure of $12,200 to the City of Miami Police Training Center. The lowest responsible quote, after obtaining 3 written quotes attached, for tuition for 2 police recruits this September, as funds are available in the fiscal year 15-16 budget pursuant to Section 3111C2 of the City Code. Discussion: it is the police department's policy to offer advancement opportunities to current city personnel when funds are available to sponsor them in the police academy. PSA Jacob Dweck is employed by the police department and is highly motivated to become a police officer. Albert Vargas has been employed by the recreation department full-time for over 6 years, and has a lifelong desire to become a police officer with the city of Miami Springs. Chief is here. It's normally we pay for the cost of putting a recruit through the academy, but since this is over $10,000, the chief had to get quotes and come to you. But the funds are available in his budget.
Wonderful. I entertain a motion on the recommendation.
I'll make a motion to move this item.
I'll second that.
Have a second. Any further discussion on the item? Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Buckner?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. And Chief, thank you very much for
Thank you, Chief.
for obviously
Thanks,
promoting from within and looking for the best that we have here in the city of Miami Springs, which always ends up being the best everywhere else. But
We've been
you do a
lucky,
good job.
and these 2 young men are exceptional candidates.
They
and I
are.
think they'll do a great job for us. They've already been doing a great job. You know, Mr. Vargas in the rec center and PSA Dweck here with the police department. So I have a lot of faith in them.
Two great young men. Good job, sir.
Thank you.
Choices.
All right. All right. Moving on to 10D, consideration of
Yes, Mayor,
temporary
Council.
installation.
This is a memo from Chris Hyde, our city planner. Discussion, wallscapes are a type of temporary large format outdoor advertising typically made of vinyl and attached to the side of a building or structure with dimensions similar to that of billboards, but often customized in size and shape to fit the structure to which they are attached. Our sign code does not currently address wallscapes. Temporary banners are allowed, but at a maximum size of 30 square feet, considered insufficient for large structures, for example, placement at the top of a tall building. This discussion was precipitated by a request from Management Resources University at 700 South Royal Poinciana Boulevard to place 2 wallscapes near the top of the building to acknowledge that they're transitioning from Management Resources College. In other words, they've just been approved to be a university. 2 exhibits are attached for your review. Exhibit A shows a 120 square foot wallscape and is intended to show the unsuitability of this size at this location. Exhibit B shows an 800 square foot wallscape, which the university is requesting for a period of 60 days. The installation of these wallscapes would allow the city to actually see the impact of the wallscapes in a temporary pilot project that could lead to future council consideration of possible ordinance amendments to address their installation.
Mr. Mayor, just as a by way of further explanation, the applicants actually went to get a variance first, but our code only permits banners, temporary celebratory type banners, and they're only 30 square feet. 30 square feet would be kind of ludicrous. So they questioned as to whether, the planner asked me whether they should try for variance. And there comes a point in any variance case where it leaves the area of variance and goes to another area, where a separate type ordinance. And I felt that this was where that was leading, to try and expand something from 30 feet to 800 or 1,200, as they are asking for, would be the difference between, if you can look in your documentation, from this little thing at the top that you see to this, or the 1,200 would be this, and I'd be glad to pass them around for you. The idea was, we don't have a code right now that has this. You might remember that we discussed wallscapes on a very small level for the downtown area before it never came to a decision. What we're asking...
We discussed it for 36th Street, I mean, right? Or did we...
No, for the downtown, actually.
Downtown,
for
yeah.
like the nurseries where they...
Okay, or
they
the
do
small,
the whole
the smaller
windows
ones,
and all.
okay.
So this is a little bit different because it's on the building, it's not really in the window. But the idea is, we don't know, the planner nor I, nor the administration, knows whether the council would even consider something like this. So what we have suggested is to allow a sort of a pilot program, either the 800 or the 1,200 square foot sign, and I'll pass this along so you can see how big it is, to be put on there for a 60-day trial period. If the community likes it, fine. There has to be a lot of regulations as to how many. It's not meant to be there forever. It's a special event type banner, so it would be there no more than 60 days at a time. Well, how many 60 days can they have during a year? Maybe 1 or 2 if they have special events. There's a lot of things that go into it. But before we reach any of those other questions, we have to get past this meeting, which means that you would allow the pilot program. And if you allow it there for 60 days, then we would have another meeting where we would discuss with you what kind of limitations and specifications you would require for future use. And then we could design an ordinance for it instead of doing it by variance. Should not be done by variance. It's inappropriate.
So because, I have a question, because we call it a pilot program, or it's temporary, this doesn't set any precedent.
No precedent.
No one else can come down the road and say, well, I want a pilot program for mine as well. Is that correct?
Yes, for those of you who have been here long enough, you knew before the EB Hotel was the EB Hotel.
Right. Yeah.
One day I was driving into the city, and all of a sudden I saw a picture of, I think it was... Singular Wireless. Yeah, one gigantic thing. And we had them take it down right away.
Canvas.
Right, we just want, it's a very popular thing. We don't want it, and these people don't want it, for advertising purposes. We don't want them to be advertising AT&T or Singular or the Miami Dolphins, for that matter. This is it's meant as a promotional rebranding for their college. They've gotten accredited. They want to, puff their wings a little bit.
Yeah, we have a university in the city of Miami Springs.
In your own
Right.
community now. They want to be able to show it. They want to be able to bring their benefits of what they've gotten to the rest of the community, and it's something that the city may like and the citizens may like, or they may not like it. All we're asking is you give it a try, and see if you like it. And after 60 days, we'll ask it to come down, and we'll approach you again and ask you if you have any interest in us proposing a permanent ordinance that would somehow create it.
Vice Mayor has a question or statement.
This is just gonna be on the side that
Here,
doesn't
I'll show
show
you.
to the residents, it's gonna be like towards 36th Street?
It will only be towards South Row. It will be facing
Okeechobee.
Across
Okeechobee.
Okeechobee, over the apartments and the canal, and towards Lejeune Road. It will not be
Facing into the Springs.
on any side where the residential community is. Oh, this is multifamily residential, but not the single-family residential here. Okay?
I know what you mean.
It's a 60-day trial.
60-day trial. They had originally asked for 800, which is approximately what this would look like. And they have thought it over, and if you would give them the benefit, they would like this one, which is 1,200. So it's up to you. It's just a pilot program anyway.
Well, okay, and that's what I was going to say. When it comes to, if it's a pilot program, it's one thing to do it at a certain size. Is that the only wall they're asking for? Only that one wall?
No,
only?
two walls.
Right, but that one and the other side.
Yes, right.
All right, because we could technically have, because the other wall is not as big, so it'd be two different sizes. One size would be on one wall and
It's
the other.
both be the same size, right? Yeah, okay.
The north and the east, is what you're saying.
So if you wanted to say, if you wanted to say 1,200 on the bigger wall and 800 on the smaller wall, you could do that.
Right, it gives us an opportunity to look at both.
At both sides, right.
Okay.
And again, you're correct, it will create no precedent. It's just a new thing for Miami Springs to experience. You may not like it. If you don't like it, then you say no tonight. If you think it's worthwhile looking at and giving them the opportunity. Again, this is not a commercialized venture. This is not for any building that we have, and quite frankly, I was sitting trying to think about it, and in my opinion, the only places that this would be suitable for would probably be EB, Comfort Inn, and maybe the buildings in the Abraham tract aside from this. Otherwise, the other buildings are not nowhere near this height.
Yeah, but before considering any other area any area period, being able to do a pilot program so we can see what it looks like would be acceptable to me. I like the idea of doing two sizes, doing the 800 on one wall and the 1,200 on the other one.
And again, I want to stress this so everybody who may be listening on television and whatever, this is not commercialization. This is they're not going to be making money by advertising for some other company. This is strictly their promotion of their own university, which is located within the building where the sign is going to be located. And those would be some of the parameters that we would put it on if it were adopted as a permanent ordinance.
Any other questions for the attorney? Yes, Councilman.
If we go ahead and give them
That's his right.
If we
No,
go
we
ahead
have
and
it- we
allow
have it
them
on
to
our
do
shoulder.
this.
Yeah, but it's hard to see.
Now,
Flatter
what
picture.
would, I guess these are expensive signs, correct?
Yes.
They're by the way, the people from the school are here and they're design professionals, if you need to speak to them.
So if we give them 60 days,
Yeah.
there's no chance of maybe saying, well, no, the residents are complaining. They have
60
to
days
take
it comes down.
Right, but what I'm saying, not before, because this is,
Well, if you give them 60 days, you give them 60 days.
Right.
If you want to give them 30 days, give them 30 days. But give them whatever you're going to give them.
right, because I don't want to say 60 days and then 30 days later we ask them to take it down. These are expensive signs.
Yes. I think if you give them 60 days, you have to give them 60 days. They are expensive. You see them all over downtown Miami, but downtown Miami, they're commercial. You see Nike, you see
Calvin Klein.
Oh, then-
Smirnoff.
But also,
Neri got excited. I said Calvin Klein. She thought it was going to be the swimsuit model. No, Neri. It's not going to be the Calvin Klein.
also, if it is approved tonight, they can give us an idea of what it did for them. You know,
Yeah,
when they
down
have
the road.
people
Sure.
and they see if it, after they do it and we do the trial, you can give us a viable information if it's even worth doing it again, so that you know if it doesn't make a difference or what have you, then you know. But if it's going to make a difference and people come into your college because they saw them signs, that'd be nice for us to know to give us that information back. We'd appreciate that. Yes.
They've shared with us also that they're gonna be working with Chris. They want to do you have the board? You can show them just one board. I don't want to get into a big thing about it because we're not before you tonight, but they're gonna rebrand and redesign their whole campus. At
Why
least
don't
that's,
you, are they all the same? Okay, give it to him and he'll pass them down so we can all look at them.
and so that's something that they're gonna be working with Chris on as to what they can do. So they're looking to make big strides in the area and improvements, you know, in the general vicinity of the school. So they're looking to be a good neighbor. They've had a lot of conversations with the chief about complying with the parking regulations in the area, and that's really not before you, but just so you have an idea of where they're going with it. He wants to show those to you? Okay.
Okay, why don't you just put them here, and then you can zoom in right in front of you, Jen, in front of the vice mayor and them.
Well,
Okay?
okay, is it?
I like the two options if we can do
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to go with what the mayor said: the bigger wall 120, and the smaller wall 8.
60 days.
For 60. Well, is everybody fine with 60 days?
Yes.
Everybody fine for 60 days?
No, you can't put something up like that and not let it stay for.
I understand. I'm just making sure before I make the motion.
Yeah, that's a motion.
Yes.
I need a second.
You got a second, sir?
Discussion on the item, please.
I have no more discussion.
Call a roll, please.
Vice Mayor Buckner? Yes. Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Good luck. You're very welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Now that's the 60 days from once it gets put up.
Yes.
So
It's
go
up.
through the
Right.
process with Chris, and once it's up and they're done with the installation, you let them know, and then the clock will start.
You please.
Perfect.
That makes a lot of difference if it's worth it or not. You know, if it
Moving
makes a
on
difference.
to 10E.
Mayor, can we knock out 10F kind of quickly
I
and
can,
then let
definitely.
10E
We can do
for
that.
last?
I can do 10F right now.
10F.
10F, a recommendation.
10F, this is a recommendation from the Board of Parks and Parkways to renovate the coral rock walls in the median along Morningside Drive from Navarre Street to Manola Drive. Attaches a memo from the city clerk which details a recommendation from the Board of Parks and Parkways. Public Works has estimated the cost to be approximately $1,100, and they have funds available in the current year budget to cover the cost. Tom is here in case you have any specific questions on this, but you see the memo there from the June 2nd meeting of the Board of Parks and Parkways.
Yes.
Oh, I know it's there, but I don't see
No,
it.
yeah, I have it. I was on the revision.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't on the previous one.
The boards.
This, Mayor, are we speaking to this issue right
Yes,
now?
sir.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the administration for attention to detail on this. This has been a problem for a while, and I would more than be happy to move this item.
So is that a motion?
It is, sir.
Do you
I
want
need
to
a
second
second.
it or?
I'll second it.
Go ahead. There.
That's the one.
I'll
Vice Mayor,
second it.
second. I have a first from Councilman Best and a second from the Vice Mayor. Any discussion on the item? Call a roll.
Vice Mayor Buckner?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Bain?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes.
Through the chair, Mr. Manager, that's attention to detail, sir, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, moving on to 10E. This is a discussion of possible locations and the planning phases for the construction of a new multi-purpose facility that will include a senior center. I have two residents here to speak on the item. 10E, Evelio Cabrera. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, consuls, mayor. I've got a recommendation on that particular item. I know the city's been looking at several locations. First of all, I want to state my name, Evelio Cabrera from 540 Hunting Lodge. I'm old school when it comes to old folks. I honestly, I think it's, and I was telling someone this evening, I believe that it's easier to smile and hold a toddler and than it is to feed an old person. I don't really believe in that's a personal opinion. I don't believe in homes. My mother-in-law passed away last March. She was hospice 18 months prior to that, and hospice was my home. She died in my home, in and out of nurses all day and all night. I honestly believe that that's something that I've always been an advocate to the fact that the old people should be and must be looked at and cared for much more than the newborn. And maybe it doesn't sound right, but I mean, these people were doctors, lawyers, consul, teachers, educators, coaches. They opened the doors for all of us, and now they sit there and they're alone. There's nobody around. I've firsthand experienced it with my church when I participated in most homes in Hialeah. You know, that's difficult. And one of the most prettiest things I've ever seen is when you get there with children. I don't know what it is, but when they see little children sing and dance and do a little performing for these old folks, and just put a smile on. And that little time, and some of us will reach there, some of us won't. But if we do, we got to thank the Lord that people acknowledge them. They should be acknowledged. They should be looked at. They should be cared for. I propose a different location for this center. And I'm gonna if you guys don't mind. Oh, Jan.
Sir.
Thank you. I'm gonna keep one. I'll help you out if you want.
No, just a
All
whole
right.
bunch of them.
Here's the little homework I've been telling, and I spoke to Councilman Bain tonight on this issue. He says that I'm giving you a few shots at it. There's different ways that I looked at it. I walked with my wife a few times. I walked by myself. How many do we have? Everybody's got one?
Either for the manager?
For the city manager, please.
You one more.
I just want to make sure I keep it.
We're good.
The existing senior center is 8,000 square feet. You'll see it on the front page. If we go to the second page, this is just a recommendation, remember. I personally, the pond that's there, Councilman Bain told me about someone that's anonymous that wants to refurbish it. And that'd be great. Right now it's stagnant. We got the Zika deal. I believe there's an alligator going around in circles. It's not a big thing, but I've seen it. I know. It's not. It'll get bigger though. Anyhow, but it is a mosquito trap there. What I see here is I see this. You'll see the. You can go ahead and flip the pages, and you'll see the. You can actually. You're also recommending behind. I don't know if it fits with the parameters. That would be obviously Jan. That would be probably the 18. I'm looking at 18,000 square feet. The proposal for the city is 10,000. I'm increasing 8,000. I believe it could be done 18,000 square feet. What I'm recommending here, it's simple. It's something that will be, Mayor, exactly to look identical to the mansion. I think it can be done identical to the mansion, and at the same time, we will enhance the parking space greatly, which we need it. I know it's being enhanced now, but we can enhance it even more. We don't need to go out and buy a piece of property or the water and sewer. We have it right here. I still like to put it on the pond area. I'll tell you, to be honest with you. That's my favorite spot. I know Billy's laughing, but that's my favorite spot. But I put an angled one here. That can be done as well there. My favorite is the first one. I don't know if you guys like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
You
there's
picked one.
nothing wrong with proposing this.
Yeah, but
There's no bad. We're not. No.
I'm just proposing. No big deal.
Well, your second one only takes half the pond out.
Well, you know what? I don't even want to say that. That was actually her that she said, "Why don't we leave the pond?" I said, "Well,
Existing pond.
yeah, I don't really like it. I don't like it that way. But anyhow, it could be used that way. It could enhance the drop back. If you get on the second on the top. My daughter's getting married in December in the mansion.
What, you want us to get this done by December?
Is this where you're getting to? She wants that parking lot done before December. I'll tell you that.
The high road to Memphis here.
We're working on that.
I know.
If you have any statements in closing, sir, your time's up.
I thought I had 5 minutes.
That's great.
But it's okay. If you have
I do?
statements, fine.
Okay.
I think that you may have an issue on all of these things.
Okay.
Only because I don't know for a fact. We'd have to check with Joe Ellen. But I think that the grounds are all designated, and I think the pond is part of it. I could be wrong, and the area behind it may also.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
he's giving a
I'm
proposal.
just saying.
I think.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. No, my closing statement is to please consider that. And remember my statement when I started the conversation and the proposal that the adults, the elderly people, the surrounding is gorgeous. It's a lot prettier than putting it behind a barn where we're charging carts, and I believe it'd be better there. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mr. Cabrera, were you watching us today at the mansion? We were out there because.
No, actually not.
I mean, we were one of the things we're going to talk about. Yeah, no.
We'll talk about it now.
The
We're
parking
very
lot.
close.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, Mr. Cabrera, thank you for this, and I must tell you, this, and we always discuss these things from time to time up here relative to projects going forward, and this is really the first time I've seen such an eloquent presentation made of something projected to the future without us even having discussed it yet, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilor Bain. Thank you. And thank you all.
Make sure he pays for it.
Public record. Is it okay? Of course.
Yeah, it's okay.
Welcome, Mr. Southern.
Good evening, Council, Mayor,
Hey, John.
staff members. Good evening to you all. If I may, just one moment. My name is John Souter, Miami Springs, Florida. Good evening again to you all. I'm also here to talk to you all tonight about the site proposal, or the options that are set before on the agenda regarding proposed sites for the multi-use facility. I'm just curious. I have a couple of questions regarding the existing senior center, and I'm not sure. My understanding is that Karen Rawson is the person that oversees, or is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just curious if I can ask a couple of questions. I don't know if we have existing issues at the facility that's right next to the tot lot. Is there a reason that it's being proposed that we move it? for starters, if I may, because I don't know, and I'm just curious as a resident.
All right, if it's okay with you, you want to go through the list of questions you have for her, and then she'll address all of us at the same time, maybe answering some of those questions if you
Or,
don't mind.
or maybe it'd be better if he asked
Okay,
the
wonderful.
questions and get a report next
Yeah,
meeting.
that's what I want to hear from him. Go down
Yes,
the list.
specifically for her. I'm just curious what issues there are with the existing facility, if there are current capacity issues, if there are construction issues, regentrification, things that have to happen in order to make it safer or more appropriate for the people that are there. I'm curious how many of Miami Springs senior citizens use the facility, how many per day or per week. I'm not a frequent user, but certainly at the tot lot enough to recognize activity when that facility is being used by elderly folks. It seems to be a Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, 8 to 5 kind of thing. I don't know if that's accurate or not. And looking at the list, so that would be it for Ms. Rosin, if she's here and is going to speak on the facility. That would be wonderful, and I appreciate that. We have 5 potential sites here, and this is altogether very interesting, what the gentleman has here. I'm curious, the first couple of items are specific to the golf course. The archery range behind the second item is behind the golf cart barn. The memo speaks to existing water and sewer. I'm curious the age of that infrastructure, the building that we're talking about there, and if it can be relied upon that adding what I believe is proposed is a 10 to 15,000 foot building, although it reads like we're going to consider incorporating some of the existing country club as part of that. That if adding a substantial structure would change the water, the electric, the sewer, the runoff, culvert, and things like that, those needs specific to that site. I'm reminded of a very recent meeting where in the 1st of August, we, as a city, paid off the bonds associated and now own the golf course outright. And my understanding of the conversation that evening was that we wanted to try as a city to make this property, make the golf course profitable. If we're not paying interest and so forth on bonds associated with a note against that ownership, we've now paid that off. We don't have that lien over our collective heads, if you will allow me. I'm concerned that construction, any proposed construction to the golf course, might have a detrimental effect to the business of running the golf course. And I don't know, depending on how extensive that construction might be, what kind of time frame we're talking about. Obviously, this is very early in the process. But that would be my concern, or one of my concerns.
If you have closing statements, Mr. Souter.
Very good. Thank you, sir. I'd like to know how old that part of the club is and the existing infrastructure. I think that it would be a shame on the part of the city to construct, to do construction on the golf course as we try to make that part of our city, newly paid off part of the city, profitable. I am, just at a glance, am immediately fond of this that's here. To my eye, it looks like what is an existing 8,000 foot structure could very easily be doubled with still a lot of room to grow. I'm on page, what was mentioned, alternate site 1. I don't know if.
Do you have any closing statements, sir?
I'm
Time is up.
finishing up now, Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
I was just handed this, and if I could just have a little bit of leeway.
No,
I'm
but this
Thank
is,
you, sir.
you're giving a presentation here, and if you have a question, I'd love to hear it, or ask us the question you want so we can consider it during that time.
I
I'd
think
appreciate it.
given the historical nature.
I know this isn't the last time.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
There'll be many bites at this apple. This is only the first.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This rendition here is very interesting. I don't know about what is protected historically of Curtis Mansion, but I think that building a senior center on this site, especially if we could mirror the architecture of the mansion, would not only enhance that property, there would be shared parking, and I think for the mansion going forward, if the pond issues could be addressed, because it is still water, fountains, gazebos, I think there are photo opportunities there. I think there could be shared space among the structures.
Thank you, Mr. Souter.
For the old folks, it would give them a very nice historical, tranquil spot in Miami Springs to spend their sunset, if you will. And I thank each and every one of you for your time, for giving me some leeway, Mayor.
Thank you,
on my time.
Thank you, John. Mayor, through the chair. Willie, that is a natural spring, correct? That pond?
I believe so.
Yes.
That's a natural spring. Thank you.
Let me read the memo then before we go on to attach our letter and a draft resolution we just received from Commissioner Sosa's office notifying us that the County Commission will be voting on this item during September 2016. The Commissioner has requested that the city start the process towards the planning phase of this project. The city administration has been meeting with Karen Rawson and identifying potential sites for the new facility. So far, we have identified the following 5 locations. Number 1, building the new facility at the golf course by the area where the archery range is located and relocating the archery range to a different location. 2, building the new facility as an addition to the country club building by the area where the golf cart barn is and relocating the barn. The advantage to this location is that infrastructure, water, sewer, etc. is already in place, and the additional space will be connected to the current ballrooms, and all of it could be a multi-use facility. Number 3, building the new facility at its current location. The main disadvantage to this location will be parking. Number 4, another option is building the new center where the tennis courts are currently located and moving the courts to the golf course. This option would be expensive due to the added cost of relocating the courts. Number 5, a final option is building the new facility behind the Curtis Mansion. The only issue here is that the land behind the mansion is owned by the hotel, and we would need to negotiate with them in order to acquire the property. Now, there's a 6th option that I want to discuss when I finish the memo that we just spec'd out today out at the mansion. Our plans are to issue an RFP for a design-build consultant similar to what B&A did for us for the aquatic facility to develop the costs of all or some of the scenarios discussed above and present options to council at a future date. We reached out to B&A in order to get an idea of what it would cost, and they advised we're looking at anywhere from $125,000 to $150,000 for a design-build project. Since we are working on next year's budget, we request council guidance on whether this amount should be budgeted in the fiscal year 16-17 budget so that we can begin the RFP process, as well as which locations listed above should be considered for the design, build, evaluation, and cost. Now, as I mentioned this afternoon, Tom Nash, myself, Tammy, Karen Rawson, Joellen, Paul Odell, and Lori, we all met at the mansion. And I want to pass out because I believe we have found a location which is on golf course property, but right next to the new parking lot that is being built. We feel there's enough space there. Paul feels it's a safe location. We can share the parking lot with the Curtis Mansion. And I just want to pass the pictures out to you to show you the area we're talking. It's very similar to Mr. Cabrero's, but on the opposite side of the mansion. And one of the things we discussed is building the new facility will be 10,000 square feet, 1 story, 100 by 100, more or less, give you an idea. And it would be the same we want to build it the same color and same adobe style as the mansion, so it would fit into the general area. But I wanted to show you the area that we're looking at, which we think is a viable option. And everyone agreed, from Karen to Tom to Paul, that this would be an excellent location.
And Joe Allen?
Yeah, and Joe Allen.
This abuts the parking lot, literally.
Right.
And it's right off Deer Run.
Right off, what, 4, 3?
It's not off Deer Run?
No, I say the whole.
No.
No, this is off Deer Run.
Yes, it's, yes.
Off Deer Run. And then the parking lot. Okay.
The whole, the 4th hole, is it?
Yeah, you see the hotels in the back.
Golf course.
It would be on golf course property.
If you look at Mr. Cabrera's site 1,
It's like off the rough.
it would be, you're talking about up here.
Yeah.
The other side of the park.
Well, if I'm looking at this, the mansion, that's the side of the mansion.
That's
You're
the front
you're
entrance to
looking
the
from the
mansion.
golf course, from the hole.
Yeah.
Going toward the
The
mansion.
pond's over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the
pond's
pond's
on the
yeah,
left.
The pond's
right.
over- yeah,
Okay,
off
I
the-
got it.
Kind of behind it, yeah.
Okay.
If there's enough room there. You know, Jan's always said, and I know we've had these discussions over the years, Jan's always said, the problem is with the golf course is we have all these enclaves of unusable spaces, and this
I don't know if he
comes
ever
right
said
back
that.
to that.
I don't know if he's ever said
Yes, he has so.
I can't tell you if it's him that said it, but I've heard people say that.
Well, I have heard him say that. He's right.
The if you know, it seems like a nice spot, but as far as if it was built behind a country club, it's a separate entity from the country club, from the golf operation. Am I stating that correct?
Yeah.
It's a separate entity. It's not
Yeah.
anything that would be it would be the fact that it's no different than the way it's run now.
There,
It's in our budget to support the seniors. The senior center would be independent of the golf operation if
Of
it was
course.
built there. That's I want that clear because there was a
Yeah, good
statement
point.
made. that-
on these 5 options, there are advantages and disadvantages to all. And you know, the idea of at the golf course by the country club or by the archery, Karen has some concerns about
Getting in and
mixing
out.
her seniors with the golfers and the golf carts and all that, and they're legitimate concerns. So
Sure.
those are things we need to consider.
Parking, I would think parking would be an issue too here.
Where?
Well, here?
No,
This?
not here.
Not here, at the country
No, not
club.
here at the country
Yeah,
club.
yeah.
Here's perfect.
I see. Is that Tammy and Paul over there in the picture?
Could be.
Yeah, it is. You're holding up that tree.
That's Paul.
You mentioned pros and cons to all of them. One of the pros that I saw when I went by to visit the location behind the golf course is that there's already existing, utilities. There's already the water and sewer is already there. We'll just be tying up to it. I don't know if, in this location, we'll be able to tie in close to, because they've already built, relatively new construction there with Curtis Mansion. But
Right.
At the end of the day, we're not picking a location etched in stone today. What we're doing is looking at these viable locations, like William said. There's pros and cons so far. The one you just handed us now looks to be my favorite of the locations. But obviously, we want to, weigh out the pros and cons of all the different locations. At the end of the day, we need a new senior center. So whether we move forward with this location or that one, that'll happen when the consultant tells us, if it's BNI, whoever it is that is selected, lets us know what is the most cost, efficient one to do it, and which one meets all of our needs as well. 'Cause sometimes it's not all about just the cost; it has to meet the needs of our seniors. So the question that, unless there's one location on here that folks want us to definitely not consider, and let's eliminate it off the list right now. But if we have this one, and maybe if we get a couple of different ideas that we can send to the manager between now and maybe the next meeting or two, we could do that as well. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
One question to the attorney. Is there anything that would stipulate that this would be built on the golf course? There's nothing that would be, because it's not going to be anything of a profit situation or anything?
No, because it's
In
a
other
it's
words,
a governmental purpose.
Huh?
It's a governmental purpose.
One of the more confusing things in the public's view of the golf course, the deed restrictions that are within the deed, not in the contracts. It's within the actual deed itself. And we clearly put in there that it could be for any recreation or governmental purpose.
Okay.
And it's going to be used by the city, so there's there's no profit involved in it.
Right.
So it's absolutely perfect.
I'm
No,
going
not
to
a
make that clear to people that,
Yeah, no.
you know, to make it
I'd
clear.
like to, solve it once and for all. If you just simply look at the restrictions within the deed itself, it will explain everything you need to know about it. The deed restrictions were put in there for basically one reason, two reasons. One, specifically, that the city would not turn around and build homes
Right.
on the golf course property. That would make the city of Miami look foolish because they sold it to us because we told them that they couldn't do it.
For the very
And
reason.
the second reason was they didn't want us to build commercially on the golf course for the same reason, because they had the option of doing that also with the offers that they had been made. So they simply didn't want to be made fools of.
Understood.
And now it's been 30 years almost, and we put enough flexibility in the language in the restrictions where it does restrict us against those types of things, but does not restrict the city from making a profit, from putting up a recreational facility of some other nature, from putting a government building that the city uses, nothing like that.
Yeah, even if we put this multi-use facility the same way that Curtis Mansion is on there, and we start to use it after hours and rent it out, or to a club that wants to use it, and there is a profit made on it, it still doesn't affect. It's a governmental use. It's not.
As long as it remains a governmental use, the
Okay.
city of Miami provisions regarding profitability
Are
and
met.
everything else, plus the fact that even if there were an argument to be made by the city of Miami against that we owed them any kind of money, we would have a gigantic credit before it would even come into play because of all the losses and all the dollars we've put into it before that. Those would all be credits on our side of the ledger against any profitability. It's profitability that makes sense. But as long as the government, if we have a governmental operation going there for a senior center, and we allow the Rotary Club to use it for a meeting or,
Optimist
an
Club.
activity
Yeah,
or
whoever,
something like
anybody.
that. No.
Okay, I
Government-
wanted
Yes. No,
that
no.
stated tonight.
Yeah.
Clear.
Clear.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So nobody is dead set against any of these locations, right? You two, Councilman Best, before you walk out, you're not dead set against any of these.
Like the last one we just redid.
All right. Okay. All right. So
I think a big plus of this last one is that you already have a parking lot to share. That if you had to build a parking lot for a new center, you're probably looking at $600,000-700,000 for a parking lot.
But a little bit, but maybe I don't know how. Like the mayor said, the situation about water and sewer.
Well,
that you might save on that parking lot, but we don't know where we're at. as
Well,
far as-
Tammy just pointed out to me that Tom was out there with us today, and he said that there's a sewer lateral very close by that we
Right.
could hook
Well,
up to.
There's sewer laterals very close by to where the hotels are, but it's been so long before, since these sewer laterals were replaced or changed or updated, even by where the hotels are. When they built some of the new hotels, like when the Best Western went up, even though there was a sewer lateral right down from them, it was too small. They had to make it bigger, and there was a lot more. So it's somewhat of
Well,
a.
that's
until
all
you-
part-
Until you inquire about it, that's why I don't want to get into the.
Part of when they do the
details of it.
design build, they're gonna factor in all these costs, and they'll come and tell you what it's gonna cost to build at the different
Right, number of parking
locations.
spaces. Another thing you have to consider is that Curtis Mansion gets used during the day as well. You don't want to cripple Curtis Mansion and take away the ability to rent it or use it during the day when it's being used as well. So
Yeah.
parking lot, maybe it's the right location. I don't want to look at this location simply because it's close to the parking. I like it, period. I like the location where you're proposing here, this last one. But if we have to, add on to the parking, then we have to add on to the parking, whatever it may be. I just I don't want anyone to hang their hat on that. Well, now we have to add parking. Well, maybe we can't do it there. So just understand that.
I think
that
that'll
aspect.
come. That'll come with as far
Requirements
as
and things like that.
requirements of how many spaces you need and so on. So,
Sure.
I think I guess what we're saying here tonight is we're trying to make sure that the information gets out correctly tonight, so that we don't have to hear from certain people.
You'll still hear.
You know what I'm saying? We're trying to be as responsible as possible tonight. with the fact that we're very much in the baby stages.
And the first step is realizing that we are not the professionals that know the requirements of a senior center. Was mentioned last time, even I don't know if it was George here, even Karen mentioned it last time. You know, there's specific specifications that need to occur when you build a new senior center. There is new requirements that if you were to build one brand new, you'd bring it up to existing code and specifications that maybe ours doesn't meet. And maybe that's something that I would like to request. I know Mr. Sauter mentioned it earlier. You know, what's wrong with the existing one, a list of whatever his requests were, that not necessarily Karen has to answer, but you know, staff can compile those answers to us. But one of them, I'd like, you know, for there to be maybe a comparison of what we have today in comparison to what is required by code. Maybe that's something that can be done not just by staff, but when we do hire whoever the consultant is to do that. That was one of his requests and recommendations I'd like for us to consider.
When Mr. Cabrera came up and spoke earlier, I said to him, I said, I liked his take on this, the fact that he had ideas going forward on a project that's not done yet, that's in you know, just being thought about. But for him to say that the edifice should mirror the Curtis Mansion, I like that take too. You know, going forward for design purposes. And the other thing is, you know, as far as versatility and usage of these two properties, the potential senior center on that location, on this location, and where the existing Curtis Mansion is, the Curtis Mansion's events are generally speaking going to be on the weekend, and the senior center is going to be during the week, so there should not be a conflict there. So I like that also about this.
You'll wait till you get the report from
Sure. Oh,
from,
yeah, absolutely.
from Joellen.
Absolutely.
Just know that I drive by there in the day, and there's cars there during the day.
I know, I
They
see 'em.
also host yoga classes there.
Yeah, they have
Maybe
things.
it's not enough cars.
Yeah, there's
or
a few. There's a
whatever.
few,
They-
right.
They have events there. at
There's a
Curtis
few.
Mansion
There's a few
weekend.
things.
I
But-
just wouldn't want to say that now you can't have events simply because
Right.
now we have a senior center.
I don't think it would infringe.
One thing about the money that's been offered by Commissioner Sosa, would that take care of the $150,000 as far as what we're going to do as far
Well,
some of it.
do you
Let
know
me- I was, since it's part of GOB money, it's what happened, same case we had at the mansion. There's a percentage, which is 17% of the total grant, which is $136,000 that can be used for soft costs, which is this.
That's what you're asking.
Planning, design, and all that. So once we get that interlocal, which we'll probably have in October, if they go in September, we'll probably, that will determine, you know, the timeline that we're going to have to spend the money and all this so that we can move forward.
Okay.
How long does it take for
Well,
that
but
to occur?
one last
Oh,
point.
yes, sir.
But that means that when you're asking the budget is for this, when you're asking to budget this 125 for this budget,
We may very well get the 800,000.
will we have to, or will we get that 17%?
No, we'll get that 17%
But
back.
you would still want us to budget for it?
But here's the thing. Let's say we get the interlocal in October. It all depends on when do you want to start the process of the RFP? Do you want to wait until we get the interlocal and we know the 17% is there? Or because with the county, it may take 3-4 months before we get our money.
Right.
So we're going to have to front this money if
I
we
see.
do the RFP right away.
And be reimbursed that?
And then
When
be
the money
reimbursed.
the money comes up to us. What we do with the $800,000, we could say reimburse it. It's part of the cost, but it's going to come into our account, and then we can say, okay, hey, let's reimburse this portion.
I'm
of
just looking at the budget where we're at as far as surplus goes. and
it. Our
everything.
surplus
Exactly.
looks like we have money for this to do.
Can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I spoke to William this afternoon, and I agree we need a new center. My issue with this right now is the following. We don't know if we're going to get this money because it hasn't been signed yet. So the interlocal agreement is what we need in our hands to be able to say that we're getting this money for sure. It's been promised, but we don't know for sure. So now we paid off the golf course and went into our reserves, so we have no reserves.
Well, correct that. Don't say we have no reserves.
Well,
Make the
we have
correct
reserves.
statement.
Well, we have 3.3, little 3.4 is what we said. Okay.
$1 million,
That
right.
we need to have on reserves. Okay, so that, and that was my error. Yes. So since we're in the middle of budget, and what I spoke with William today was that if we keep the millage rate at 7.5, we're going to have a surplus of $167,000, which is what we would actually think about using for this, is what I was told. So we would need to use about 150, which would leave us about 17,000 in reserves, surplus from the 7.5 millage rate, if that's the way we go. So then we won't really know if we're getting this money till October. So should we take all these questions that we're asking into consideration, start doing the legwork, and then once October rolls around and we have the money, then do what we need to do, instead of going ahead and saying, now, out of the 167, we're going to make the millage rate 7.5, we're not going to reduce it, we're going to take 150 and dedicate it to this, and then 4 or 5 months down after October, we can put it back into the budget, and then at that point, do we reopen the budget to use the money? That's my only concern.
Well,
That's my concern.
Since that's her only concern, your only concern, we have to ask ourselves this question. Thank you for acknowledging that we do need to replace the senior center. So the main question you have to ask yourself, and we all have to ask ourselves, is, are we going to build a new senior center regardless of getting $800,000 from Commissioner Sosa? Or are we not going to do it if we don't get the $800,000 that Commissioner Sosa has promised us?
No.
So if we are going to do it, simply budgeting, because it's not going to be spent after you do the RFP, you're not cutting somebody a $150,000 check. There's a process that goes through with the work that they do. Budgeting the money to begin the process, to then we have to figure out where we're going to get the rest of the money for the senior center. But before we do any of that, we have to ask ourselves, are we going to build a senior center regardless of getting the money from Commissioner Sosa, which I don't see it's a problem. She's made good on 100%
Every
of
time.
the money, and then giving us more on top of what she originally pledges to give to us anyway. So that's not my concern. Even if we don't get it, I'll be the first to answer. I think we need a new senior center, regardless of getting $800,000 from Commissioner Sosa.
And you're right, we do need a new senior center.
So we
My
should do it.
concern is that we don't have the funds. We've got a pool that we don't know how it's going to do. We've got a golf course that we need to have more given out to profit. So we're in a pool that we just took out a $5 million loan. Yes, we do need a senior center. Yes, we do. Where's the money going to come from? Where is the money going to come from? We want to leave our surplus down to 17 until we get the money. I understand we need it, but do we go get another loan? I'd like those answers first before we say, yes, go ahead, let's do it. And all I'm asking is, do the research that needs to be done, and come October, we'll go from there. Or we discuss it at the budget at the end of the
budget,
month.
but we still budget it. We still say, put it on the budget, and then we can decide. And once you budget it, it's not spent.
No.
You still have to move forward, and then you spend the money later on, but you budget it. There's things we're paying right now in August that we budgeted last August. So the money doesn't get spent. It's called being responsible. We're going to budget the money because we do have it. When you're saying 17,000, that'd be the estimate of what we have in surplus in leftover money from leaving the budget at the millage rate at 7.5, which is a non-increase.
And we're not
still
done
not
yet.
done with, and we're still not done with the
yet.
budget.
I mean, so far the budget's 167,000 in savings from when we started, and we still have to go through another meeting, and we'll see. But I understand your point. But the fact is that the money that we're talking about right now is going to be budgeted, not necessarily spent. And plus, you're going to need, if you're going to get the knowing from going through some of these processes with the community center, you're going to have to show some progress to the commissioner to go ahead and say that you're committed to doing this project, so that she has the confidence and the wherewithal to go promote that she's going to get that $800,000 for us.
Yeah, and
You have to show in good faith what you're going to do. It's like
This is the first time we get money or promised money before being shovel ready. I've never, not since I've been here, gotten money before we've gone through the process of getting it. So the last thing I want is for that not to occur, for us to move forward.
So I think tonight we're going to just tonight do you want to just we got the things here. Does council want to make a decision that this is the spot, and then or just wait a little bit?
Mayor,
Wait a little bit
no,
and,
it's not a matter of just wait a little bit. What they just mentioned is budgeting, putting in the budget so you can begin the process.
Right.
For the consultant, you have to put out an RFP. You have to get a consultant. That person will then tell you of these locations, possible locations that we have. Here's what it's going to cost you for A, B, C, and D location. And by the way, Ed, we looked at them, and D is no good, but we have an alternate D for you. That's the process they go through. And then they give us dollar amounts of what it would cost approximately to do that to meet the needs of the senior center that, of course, they would discuss with Karen before.
And the cost attached to that going forward, Mayor, would be 100 to 125,000 according to the manager,
125
correct?
to 150, I think.
No, 100 to
All right,
125.
let me
you
get-
said.
So we're going to go ahead, first of all, we'll consider budgeting this, but as far as going out for the person that's going to, the site plan or the thing, how much do you need for that? Just to put the RFP out to have.
Oh, I don't need anything for that. I can put the RFP out,
Yeah.
but I think that we need to narrow this down to 1 or 2 locations.
Right.
You can't give somebody 6 locations and tell, because the more locations they have to spec out, the more it's going to cost.
Actually need one location.
Yeah, really.
Because you're sending out an RFP, especially for design
Yeah,
build.
you want to double it.
They're not going to be interested in giving you alternative for your sites. They're going to want to say, okay, here's, them. They may decide for you. You can say to them, here are what we're thinking of, and they may say, here's the best for you.
Yeah.
But they don't want to spec out. It's a lot of work for them to do that.
Yeah, well, the 2 sites that, I mean, how far, how close to the Golf and Country Club we put it, we can talk about that. But having this current existing site, which is my favorite thus far, and the one that's connected to the golf course are 2 of the locations that I understand they can't give us 6, but if we at least gave them 2, that says, look at these here. Like we said, we talked about the existing infrastructure when it comes to the water and sewer lines and all of the utilities already pre-existing there. That was one of the pluses. Once I was told that was a possible location. But if we don't consider any of that and we want to just say, let's pick the best location first before we consider all that other stuff, I like the last location that staff.
Can we let Karen chime in on her?
Karen, chime in.
Just wants to stand there for another hours.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought she was waiting for a question from us. Unless she
She
has a
sits
statement.
down.
Mayor, can I say something?
She
Because I
sits
said
down
it.
all day.
That's very patient, you know.
This
Just,
ask a question you can't, but Karen has the floor. Karen.
That's all right.
No, that's not okay. Please, go.
Mayor, I said it.
Go, I understand that. Do you have a specific statement you'd like to make?
Only that there's nothing in blood at this point. It's just these were given to you all to consider. I believe the 6 of us who looked at this location are very much in favor of trying to see if it's viable and explore the possibilities there. Doesn't mean that's the only location. Maybe something else will occur to us, you know. The truth is, the city of Miami Springs doesn't have any other real property. You know, we can keep it where it's at, but then we have a huge expense with the parking. And we have to figure out how we're going to expand its footprint. If we try to build on, and to answer your question, sir, the property is approximately 5,000 square feet that we're in now. So to expand, and we do need to expand because we have 2 rooms. Those of you who've been in our building know we're difficult doing our activities. We have to use the mansion to hold classes. We have to use the rec center to hold classes. We're at the Optimist Club holding classes in the summer because we're not able to use the recreation department. So we are spreading out so we can have health and wellness activities for seniors because we can't do it within our own building. So to have it near the mansion makes perfect sense because the cars you see parked there in the daytime are my seniors who are over there having classes. So all they got to do is have their class, walk across and come back over to my side. We've spoken with Jo Ellen. She's in favor of it. She likes the idea of the community having a compound, if you will, that everyone can use. It's a multi-purpose building. I even envision having bike rentals on the back patio, and you can rent a bike for 50 cents and go around the golf course.
Yeah, one of the residents came up with the idea of going down the back side of riding a bike around that area.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Put up more
Whatever it
trees.
is, I mean, you all right. Attorney, calm.
Liability.
Right already.
But I can see how the whole community could come and use that property and enjoy
It'll
it
be
and
nice.
have the benefit of it being there. Being at the golf course,
there's options there too, but then we have to share the common drive, and seniors are going to have to traverse going between the pro shop and the driving range to get to a new parking lot we have to build behind the country club, because I'm not going to let them walk across the street
Curtis
to
Parkway.
get
The
to
driving range?
No, you walk across Curtis
So
Parkway.
you would have to build a parking lot in the back, and then you'd have to take a whip and keep the golfers out from using all our spots, or driving their cart and running over on it.
One of our seniors taking one of the golf carts for a joyride.
It would be kind of congested, and just because there's infrastructure there, folks, doesn't mean it can support a new building and the amount of toilets I flush every day. All right, truthfully, you may find that that's too old and antiquated and have to replace that there anyway. So these things have to be looked at, and none of us have the answers to everything. We just want to give you food for thought now. We want to take information from the citizenry that have good ideas, like this gentleman and your concern, sir. All of this needs to be still chewed on. So, at this point, we just want you to accept the 800,000 and say we're moving forward, because somehow, some way, it's time.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Out of the
One
six.
second, Mr. Manager, please.
Sorry.
Mr. Petrolanda?
I by far like this spot myself,
It's
but
a
now I
beautiful
want to go to number 5. When you say here negotiate, we're not negotiating any money, correct? When we're talking about, because at one time this piece of parcel was given to the city, something happened and we never got it. So when we talk about negotiating that area, it would be just to talk to the new, because I believe the old owners of the hotel gave us that spot years ago, and for whatever reason we never got it. This is what Joellen told me. Then now we would try to negotiate, see if we can get that spot so we can build it there. But I don't want anybody to think that when we write negotiation, because of a conversation I had coming in here, that we have to negotiate with the hotel to buy it from them, because that wouldn't be the case, correct?
Well, what I'm saying is, if you want to build the senior center behind, that property doesn't belong to us.
Right.
It belongs to the hotel.
Right. But
So-
at one time the hotel gave it to us.
Yeah, but right now it's owned by the hotel.
Right,
I don't
but
know
when
what
we-
happened years ago, but right now it's not owned by the city. It's owned by the hotel.
Right, but when it says here negotiate, it's not, we're not negotiating price. We're negotiating that they give it to us.
No, I'm talking negotiate if they want to sell it to us and how much they would want for it.
But it was given to us one time.
But we don't own it.
I understand we don't own it. It belongs to this to the hotel.
To the hotel.
The hotel that owned it previously had given it to us. Give us a spot for us to use.
What
So
does that
should
matter? If
tell
we don't
us-
own it now,
One
what does that
second, stop. I
matter?
understand. We repeated the same thing 3 times already.
Right.
He understands that. You understand that it doesn't belong to us.
Right.
So because of that, you're saying that the new owners who are there should just, honor the old agreement from the old owner and just let us use the property.
Right, because I had a conversation
It's not gonna
before
work.
we started the meeting, and I don't want anybody to think that if we want spot 5, which is basically near the mansion, I kind of like this one better, but we're talking about 5. We're thinking outside the box. We're talking, we're bouncing ideas off each other. I don't want anybody to think that if we're going to negotiate this, we're going to negotiate price. We want to go back to the old ways, the other tenants that they had it, that they're going to give it to us because we don't want to buy it.
We understand that that's what you are saying, but we are saying that if they ask us for money, we are going to consider, for the other parcel that you're talking about, we're going to consider entering into a negotiation if that is a location that we like. If this council says they really like that location, that at one point in time was offered to us, but then we didn't take it. If we really like that location, and this body says, let's pick that location, we're going to enter into a negotiation where it may be that we have to pay money for that location. That's part of the negotiation. Maybe they'll say, oh, you know what? I'm going to honor the old deal, and I'm going to give it to you. That's a possibility. That's part of the negotiation. But if they say, no, you need to give me $100,000 or $500,000,
then we go here.
No. We might go here regardless. This might be the spot we want to go to.
Right, but the other spot, if we get it for free, would it make more sense? You're closer to the hotels for the sewer and all that. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking out loud.
It's an option. You're saying it's an
Right,
option to put it on the other
something
side.
to look, because this is a good spot. I grant you, but when you're really far from the hotels, maybe the sewer line is going to, like the Councilman Bain said, maybe you're saving on the parking lot, but then you had to spend it on the sewer. So we should keep this option 5 open at least, and this one, and see which one is cheaper. Now, obviously, if we had to buy that property, it's just not going to make any sense. But at one time it was given to us. Why don't we pursue that?
Mr. Manager, I mean, I think based on what Karen just mentioned to us, and take into consideration, once it gets looked into a little bit further.
We are, and Joe Ellen.
What I'm stating is that the property that's on the golf
Right.
course seems, I'm sorry, behind the golf and
Behind
country
the
club
golf
seems less and less likely as a location
Hmm.
for us to be considering. Putting it somewhere on the Curtis Mansion property vicinity, if it's this one that you all brought to us last, or your option number 5, it seems that when we do select the person, we tell them that this is the site we're looking at, and we show them the Curtis Mansion site, show them the whole map. We say this is one area we think we could have it at, or on the back side of it, on the south side could be an area where we have it. We show them both, and then at that point in time, then it could be figured out. I don't think there's nothing to argue about here. But does council want to move forward with a location so we minimize once we do get to that person? Say maybe not off the back of the golf course and
Well,
doing
I
it
mean,
in Curtis Mansion,
I
because
mean-
what he said is right. We can't give them 3, 4, 5 locations different
No.
for them to be considering.
I think we should probably narrow it down to one here before we leave tonight.
Or just say the Curtis Mansion area.
Area, yes.
Okay.
And they can look at either this one
Yeah.
or the one behind the golf
That's
course.
specific enough?
Is that okay for you for specificity?
I'm not the contractor. If it were me and I were the contractor,
want one.
I'd want one site.
You want one.
Right, okay. But
Okay.
Can we do the
Let's
research
put it
ourselves?
this way. As far as going forward tonight, what do we need to do tonight?
I think the only thing you're being asked to do tonight is either to budget or not budget the amount to go forward.
For the
with the RFP, so he can
speculative
start
work.
the RFP process.
That's the only part that's
Right.
in the memo
Right.
about it.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. Now,
So, look-
again, though, to go ahead and budget for the RFP part, you said you don't, what kind of funds do you need for that?
Nothing.
To do the RFP, he doesn't need any money.
He doesn't need any money.
When you're
Not,
gonna
not
need-
to do the RFP,
Okay,
no.
so
no.
we can do the RFP, and then the 125 or 130 that you're thinking about.
125 to 150.
You're thinking about budgeting. When would you need to know? When would you need to know that? Can
Well,
we
if
think
we-
about budgeting
If
that
we do
down
the
road a
RFP
little
right
bit?
away, let's
Yeah.
say we do the RFP right away, it takes 2 to 3 months. So probably November, December, they'll start working and they bill you as they go.
Right.
So hopefully by that time I'll have the interlocal
Yeah.
and we can draw against the county.
Right.
one.
So I think
Use
that we
that
should
money.
authorize you to go ahead with the RFP, and I think we could go ahead and we still have time to do the budget, and whether to consider budgeting it or not, depending on time. We still have time to say to budget the $150,000. I would like to wait until we get to the last meeting on the 29th.
Yeah, a week
See
from
where
there.
we stand
Yeah, yeah.
and see about how we're going to budget for the RFP.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
We get to the 29th.
Yeah.
What could be different from the budget process that we would or would not consider moving forward with the RFP process and hiring this company? What would be different? I want to know what
There
would
really,
change our mind
in
one way
my
or the
in
other.
my mind, there really isn't.
Okay.
But I think that
I want to consider them all.
I want to consider them all. I think it's responsible for some of the people on the dais to give them be responsible and show all sides. So that's my thought, is to go that way.
I think sometimes in the budget process, and we've all been here before, we know, that in the 11th hour, sometimes we get awfully creative, don't we?
Right.
Well, am I wrong? I mean,
I'm being-
and money comes, and we figure ways of moving stuff and doing things and making stuff happen.
Right, I'm
And
being
so,
devil's advocate. That's all I'm
yeah,
doing.
I
So
agree.
what if we don't?
Right.
Let's be devil's advocate. We don't.
I don't think
and
it's-
something else comes up, and you don't have
But-
$150,000 reserve. Do you not move forward with the seniors?
I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable right now with going forward and
I wanna do-
exploring this and have him move forward with it, with the thing with the interlocal coming in by December. The money will be replenished.
But you
I'm
have
fine
to-
with
but
that.
you have to budget it, right? Okay. so
Yes,
that's-
absolutely.
Fine,
That's
we'll wait till
that's
the
that's the
29th
prop.
budget meeting.
And
Yeah.
like Bill said, to wait,
Until next
because
week?
you never know.
Yeah, until next week.
What do you guys think? I mean, that's. I mean, we don't even need to vote on this. We
We'll
get
have
a
a
voice
budget
vote
meeting
thing. I
next
mean,
week.
But
Yeah, Monday.
For a week, right?
But I will say this, though. I could leave tonight and make a decision, and this is where we should put it.
I do too.
I mean, and one thing I can is that's where we can put it.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion that the recommendation by staff to put the mansion on Deer Run, I don't know how to say it, on
Last-
Deer.
The last proposed.
Huh?
The picture.
The picture.
The picture.
This
last
is-
proposed.
right.
The last per picture, to propose that's the location of the new.
Just
senior-
west of the proposed parking lot for the Curtis Mansion.
Just west of the proposed
as
parking
per-
lot.
as-
Yeah, second.
As stated by the attorney.
As stated by the attorney.
You got to.
Actually, it's not proposed, it's being constructed as we speak.
Right.
Councilman Bain, you got a second.
Discussion.
Yes. My only concern with that is that what happens if the other option, option 5, is a lot cheaper than this one?
Right.
We should look into it before we
Then-
choose.
But the thing is that nothing's gonna happen. Right now.
Site, right? They gotta do
Yeah,
a
yeah, but they're not
site
gonna
plan.
build on it yet. You still have to do an RFP. So when the people come to it, like, in other words, even if it is cheaper, it might be cheaper to do it in the middle of the golf course. It might be cheaper to do it somewhere different. We have to decide on a location of where to do it. Were you recommending that we wait until, someone does an assessment of if it's better to put it behind the Curtis Mansion?
Right.
Or put it on the side of the Curtis Mansion? Let's have that discussion. Would we, look at the map that Mr. Evelio Cabrera gave to us. That way we know what we're looking at.
I've seen it.
Council, okay, good. Not
it-
just that, not that one, the big
Yeah,
map.
just
Oh,
like,
I know.
to your, to
It's
talk,
like,
to your, to talk to you. In my mind, this is a better location than behind the mansion because of the fact of the seniors, it's a easier access for them.
Right, but you said something earlier that made a lot of sense, and now you're kind of going against it, which you said maybe.
I never.
Let me
been
explain to you
against
what you
anything.
said to remind you. I know sometimes we forget things.
Hotel property.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to rag you. But you said
And all
you
of
know
this.
we might save on parking lot, and then we have to spend it somewhere
Yeah,
else
but
in
they,
the sewer.
but then the question was, then they answered my question, that there was a hookup right there.
Right, but I think we should kind of really look at it. Either way works for me. I'll be honest with you, but I want to do it the most effective way that we can, money-wise.
Well,
Okay.
but I can't
I'm
answer, and nobody here can answer
Well,
that
that's why you
question.
give it a little time for experts to go out there and
Well,
look at it.
well, you know what? If I could just jump into this for a second, this row. I'm sure we could ask the administration to take a look at what Councilman Petrolanda's request on this and find out where the lines, the sewer lines, and electrical and all that are relative to location 5 versus what apparently a lot of us like the other location, and that would satisfy his request, I think.
Sure.
Very simple.
Now the next question. Staff,
Thank
one
you,
second.
that's-
One second, time out.
No.
Time out, wait a second. You don't own that we don't own that property. So that's one thing we have to consider, regardless of what
Oh, I
Councilman says, that we might be able to get it.
Well,
for free.
why don't we look into that too while we're at it? That won't cost us anything either.
This is
let
a
me.
staff question.
Can I just? Joellen has some contact to reach out to the hotel people, but I just want to point out how much land we're talking about. If you look at Site 2 that Mr. Cabrera gave you, that whole area from where you see the bike path running, from that over is hotel property.
Right.
Now, you would also need to acquire, you see the tennis courts down here? Those all belong to the hotel. You need that so that we can get access to this. So you're talking about buying, or the hotel,
No, not buying, giving us.
yeah, you're talking about the hotel giving you this entire lot of land for free.
But they had done it once. That's what.
The old owners,
Right,
the
but
new
that-
people.
Right. I mean, I think we should.
We're gonna
Is that going to
ask.
set us back?
Oh.
I mean, finding out that.
No, I think we could look into this and find out what the story is relative to the.
All right, now
who
going
owns
to the
who.
next question. Mr. Manager, do we have staff not going out, can we have Tom Nash, go out and look at the records that are there between now and our first meeting in September to tell us simply the lines that exist there in that property? From here to then, there should be at least one phone call and a conversation with the property owners of that property. Just flat out, listen, does the deal still stand? Can we have this piece of property? We want to put a governmental building there. We want to use it. Yes or no? And then we have this property, which, by the way, we also own.
Right.
So we get this one for free, and we already own the other one. And we have Tom tell us where the lines are, where it would be more
And we should
feasible, maybe,
take
for us
my
to put
motion out.
a line.
Yeah, I can.
We'll do it. All right. So let me ask now. Here, no, are we done with the discussion?
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Just clarify one thing for you all. I don't think the lines are your
No, I don't
biggest
think it is
your
either.
biggest problem. What your biggest problem
You mean the
is
sewer lines?
sewer lines, water and sewer lines. The problem you have is Dade County is still under the consent order it has with the federal government, and
The water.
when you build a new building, we didn't have a problem with the pool with getting allocations for water and sewer because it was replacing an already existing facility. When you go to build a new building, you have to now ask for allocations for water and sewer that do not exist. That may be your bigger problem. So that's the question you have to
It
ask.
doesn't matter where you're going to build it.
The lines are, believe me, you may not need a line because if they allow you to do it and even if they don't, they, in a worst case scenario, you might be building pump stations and lift stations and all sorts of things just to allow access. So that's the more important question.
And at the end of the day, all of that gets looked into when you have the RFP being put out. Tom Nash doesn't go out there and make all of these assessments. He can make some of them.
No, but you could haul water and sewer and find out those
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah. Right,
I
of
mean,
course.
that's something the staff could do.
I think that's what he
that's
wants
what we
to
should
know.
do. As I was getting to, you have both of the locations that are surrounding it. Between now and our next council meeting, we have staff look into the feasibility as well as calling that property owner to make sure that they're still willing to give it to us. Just call them and say, we're willing to take you up on the previous owner's offer. Thank you very much. Where do we sign? You try that route. If you don't ask, you don't get, right, Mayor?
That's right.
If you don't ask, you don't get. And if they say yes, you can have it. And after we assess it and we make a call to the county, and I'm sure we will have the help of our county commissioner to find out if we will be able to have allocated
Water and sewer.
the water and sewer, the water lines and the water and sewer allocation for it. We get all those questions answered. But again, at the end of the day, moving forward with the person who is going to draw up the RFP for us and the consultant to do what BNI did for us with the pool is still a necessity. Regardless of all of these conversations, where you're going to have it,
Right, so-
where you're not going to
right,
have it.
so we're gonna
we have
vote-
but we have a motion on the table. Are you withdrawing your
Yeah, I
motion,
got
Steve?
to, because that's what
You don't have to,
you're
nothing.
gonna.
You can't
You got,
do it.
you got a second, too.
Right.
Yeah,
have
I
a
know I
first and
got a second, but I'm gonna.
Withdraw?
No, we'll withdraw it, so we can go
Motion
ahead
is
and,
withdrawn.
Next council meeting, we'll have a couple of the answers to satisfy, and be fair, that everybody
agree.
has to be satisfied, but I still do think that we can allow him to put the RFP out.
Right.
I
agree.
Okay.
I
why don't we
agree as
do,
well.
let's do that.
Do we need a vote for that, to put
Yes.
the RFP out?
For a voice vote.
No, I think you can tell them.
Well, the
It's
money to
good.
be budgeted as well.
Oh, well, that's
Oh,
a
we're gonna
different
wait
story.
We're gonna wait on that.
Well, that can be done the 29th
Okay.
as a budget item.
All right,
So
good.
you've been given direction to move forward with the RFP.
Yeah,
RFP for
Design build.
services.
Right.
Services, correct.
Right, but
Question,
that's
are we
after
Also, are we also having them to do the project management as well? It's
They
not
would do
just-
the same
well,
thing, same.
yeah,
for the-
they will do the same thing.
Right.
yeah.
You're following the pool scenario.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
As well as the other, the one that we did for the rec center.
That was a little bit different, but the pool scenario is
Yeah.
better.
Bill Sprague. But again, okay, good, you have that direction.
If I may interject.
Yes, ma'am, you may.
I'm so sorry. But I have to say this because it's bothering me.
Oh, go right ahead.
A senior center is a specialty building. Architects here are wonderful and they may know everything, but there are people out there who specialize in just designing senior centers. I'd like to share this information with you if I may.
Thank you, ma'am.
The first page is just a newsletter that was written by a company that's out of Ohio. They've built 22 different senior centers. They're well respected. They attend the National Council on Aging, all the different organizations that help people like us do what we have to do. The bottom line is I've attached their resume and their information too, because they work hand in hand with local architects. So I would ask you to at least consider, just like you did when you were checking the playground status to see if indeed it was in need of being removed, you hired an inspector. These folks would work hand in hand with a local architect to make sure that they crossed every T and dotted every I, and they are on track with the trends and what's going on with senior centers all over the country. I don't know what that cost would be, but I would ask that you allow us to look into that to see if that's even a feasibility. If it's $8,000, $10,000, it might be well worth it to have them coordinate with this, just to make sure we're getting
They could be a responder to
the
the
right
RFQ, couldn't they?
Could I ask you-
bang for our
Mr.
buck.
Attorney?
I want to ask Karen just one question.
Yes, sir.
Are these people, you understand how the design build thing works, where you have,
They've worked
the
with design builders before.
they work with, but they're
But
not
they're
a-
not, they do not replace your local architect, because the local architect knows our soil, knows our ramifications
so
of
they're
building
like
in
a
Miami.
consultant.
They work hand in hand, yes. And 99.9% of the people who have used them across the country have been extraordinarily glad they did.
So you might need
Include it
to
as
put.
part of the
you-
RFP.
Part of the RFP, exactly.
Yeah, let us call them because they might be one of the responders to the RFP.
But it's
No,
not, it's
that
not an
you're saying
RFP,
they
they're not
won't
project
be.
managers.
They work in conjunction with local architects.
They must, but what you might have to put in the RFP or RFQ is to
The cost.
know that they would be willing, whoever was the successful
Bidder.
bidder for that,
To
that
use
they would
these people as
incorporate.
To include Lifespan Design Studio to
assist them.
make sure that they do it. Vice Mayor has a
Consult
question.
them.
Madam
Consult
Vice Mayor?
Consult
So
them.
are these the only people that do that though?
I've asked if they have any competition, and they don't seem to. But I will ask again.
Well, I would say that before we even go ahead with the RFP, we find out what their cost would be and if there's any competition before we write anything, so that we know if we're gonna remain in the 125, 150 range, or if we're gonna go, super past that, and then, it gets a little bit bigger, the pot. Even though I know that we wanna progress, but we need to know how much money we're gonna have to initially pull out before we get reimbursed.
We're not considering it till the next meeting anyways.
No,
so.
no, that's why I'm saying they can research it and more or less, that way we have an idea. Is it gonna be 125 to 150, or is it gonna be over and above the 150, and how much, if so, how much more, and whatnot?
I think it's
That's
certainly
my
get in
concern.
contact with them and
Sure,
find out
yeah.
what their standard rate for consultation with design build professionals are.
You hear that, Tammy?
Got it.
Got it?
Good.
Gotta get it. Got it.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you very
Thank
much.
you, Karen.
Very much.
Thanks, Karen.
Good job. Anything from you, Mr. Attorney?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Yep. Just a couple of things. Remind everybody that tomorrow, August 23rd, the city actually celebrates its 90th birthday. It was founded and incorporated on August 23rd, 1926. Remind everyone to register by August 29th for fall baseball at MiamiSpringsLittleLeague.org. If you want to do it online. The MS Historical Society's 90th birthday celebration and kickoff party is this Saturday, August 27th at 7 p.m. at the home of Frank and Yvonne Schoenberger, an 85 Deer Run. Then we have the Smithsonian Waterways at the Curtis Mansion starting September 10th until October 22nd. The 90th birthday golf tournament, Saturday, September 10th at the Country Club. And also on that Saturday, the 90th birthday family swim and fun day at the Aquatic Center. That's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's some of the activities you have until the next meeting.
We'll see you at all of them, right?
Yep. I'll be there.
You watch him. He will be.
Perfect. Anything from you, Vice Mayor?
No.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you for coming.
I've been trying to do this, but for I think the next meeting I'm going to wear my hunting suit to show that you can go ahead for the Zika virus for mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity, and he's laughing over there. But there's an opportunity for people. Wait, you'll see. I wore it to the policeman. Remember, I wore it to the Chiefs dinner. I wore it. It was a big hit. What I'm trying to say is they talk about prevention. And I'm just giving some people some prevention. It goes over, it's a suit, it's leafed, it's netted, and it keeps the mosquitoes off of you. And it's light, and it's for summertime use. And I think that some of the women that might need it, and men, but mostly the pregnant women, it's something that can be, besides putting the repellent on, which is really good to put on all the time, this can help you as far as keeping mosquitoes from biting you. And
I think France just outlawed this at the beach in Cannes.
Whatever. It's not one of them. No, it's not that. But anyway, that's what I thought.
Councilman Petralanda?
Just school is back in session. Drive safely. Thank you for everybody that come out tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Councilman Best, anything from you, sir?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the city manager. Anybody read the thing in Connections on his bio and all of that? Wasn't that a wonderful article? Good picture of you too, Will. You photographed well in that. Yeah. That's all I have. Thank you. Yeah, he did. It was a good article.
I know that the
wife's
manager. I know the manager mentioned Little League, but we also have the registration and sign up for MSVG soccer season. So make sure you go sign up for the soccer season, which has begun as well. We have just another example how we have three field sports going on at the same time: football, baseball, and soccer for the need for field space in our city. Councilman Petralanda mentioned the beginning of school. Today was a big day in my family. My son officially transferred over to Miami Springs Senior High, and is very happy to be a Hawk. He's been begging me for 3 years to transfer him over to Miami Springs Senior High. And I told him, well, you give me the grades, and I'll let you pick whatever school you go to. He could have gone to private school. He could have gone to anywhere he wanted to, and he said he wanted to be a Hawk. So his AP honors GPA has been shifted over, and he is now a Hawk.
Cool.
Very, very proud of my son.
Wish him well.
Right. I do.
Wish him well.
He's going to get a heck of an education there.
I know he is. Sure.
What are you laughing at? Hey, I graduated from there. What the hell are you laughing at over there?
Well, that's the point.
Boy,
That's
you
you
just
laughing,
lost
right?
your center, I'll tell you that. You
Mayor
lost your
Bates took
center,
all of
that's
the
it.
iTech programs.
Wow.
That is too funny.
Getting worse.
That is too funny.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're something else, I'm telling you.